If you watch basketball, you probably know NBA players are blessed in ways that we can't even imagine. Most of them live in mansions, are famous, and have no lack of money. But not all NBA players became who they are now easily. So that's why I'm going to tell you about 10 NBA players with crazy backstories. Make sure to stay until the end of the video because the list becomes more surprising as we move on. And if you like more of these videos, make sure to subscribe, and if you did, tell me in the comments so that I can thank you personally. Alright, let's get started. Number 10. Demar Derozan. Starting at number 10, we got Demar Derozan, who's playing for the Spurs as of right now. Demar had a really tough childhood growing up in a place full of gangs, and he spent most of his early life exposed to violence, constant assaults, drug deals, and you name it. He even lost 2 of his uncles while growing up, both of which were shot in the streets. Fortunately, Derozan was able to find a way out of the city of Compton with his restless work ethic and determination to improve in basketball. Something interesting is that because of his athleticism and possible future in basketball, he was often protected by a gang called the Crips. They stayed clear of him and made sure that other gangs did the same. As a matter of fact, he still has links with some of the Crips, shouting them out when he does an outstanding play, as they actually encouraged him during his youth to become the all-star athlete he is nowadays. Number 9. Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Greek Freak has a story which you've probably heard by now, but there's some details which you might not know about. Giannis was born in Greece. His parents were immigrants from Nigeria who have recently moved into Greece. Like other immigrants, his parents struggled to find work and were in deep poverty. Antetokounmpo and his older brother helped out their family by selling cheap watches, bags, and sunglasses on the side of the streets. He then started playing basketball and moved into the US all alone to practice and elevate his game at a really young age. He continued to support his family by sending money that he got from the Bucks back to Greece. He even once didn't have enough money to get a cab to the Bucks arena for a game because he had sent them all back home. Obviously, Giannis was able to bring all of his family to the US, and they're all chilling in some random mansion right now. Number 8. Kevin Durant. Probably one of the best offensive players in the NBA, Kevin Durant has been quite popular when it comes to basketball. But the NBA Finals MVP also had it quite difficult in his childhood. Durant's father was involved in a lot of drug problems in the streets of Washington, and because of that, he eventually abandoned Kevin, his 3 brothers, and his mother. This forced the family to be constantly moving from one lousy place to another, as his mother struggled to put food on the table and pay the bills. I mean, it's pretty much impossible to be able to support a family of 5 while working as a single mother, but she still managed to do a fine job. Even with all the money problems, Durant's mother was always extremely supporting with him and his desire to play basketball, and she often told him that his height was a blessing and he shouldn't let bullies make fun of him because of it. Fun fact, there's actually a movie about Durant's mother called The Real MVP, which goes over everything she and the family went through for Kevin to become who he is now. Number 7. Dwayne Wade. Even though he retired last season, we all still remember the flash and the shows he used to put on every night he was on the court. Born in Chicago, Dwayne Wade had a really tough path to stardom. He grew up without a father figure and with a mother who was an alcoholic, so he pretty much had to look out for himself and his older sister all by himself. It got even worse when Wade had to move in with his dad and 3 stepbrothers who he didn't even know, just to be able to walk out the door without being at risk of being gunned down in his old neighborhood. Imagine leaving everything you know and love to be safe. It kinda sounds like something you see in a TV show. Dwayne was also struggling with school and wasn't able to play as much as he wanted in college due to his lousy qualifications. But you know what they say, diamonds form under pressure. Number 6. Serge Ibaka. Before becoming the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year and winning a title with the Toronto Raptors, the young Serge Ibaka grew up in Brazzaville, one of the worst and the most dangerous cities of the Democratic Republic of Congo. He grew up around gunshots, smuggling, drug dealers, civil war, and who knows what else. It probably didn't help that he also had 18 siblings, but fortunately the family was more than able to support themselves with both his parents being basketball players. In a way, you could say basketball is in Ibaka's blood. However, his parents played inside of the Republic of Congo and earned nowhere close to what was needed to get their family out of there. That was one of the things which probably fueled Serge to become who he is today. He was keen to get his family the hell out of there, and he eventually did by working really hard in school and playing basketball to make his way into Spain and eventually the NBA. Hey, if you're watching this, don't you think you should subscribe to this channel so that you can get more videos like this? It's free, and down the road, if you decide you don't like me, it's just as easy to unsubscribe. Also, if there's any other videos you all want me to see, just comment down below and I'll try my best to make it. Alright, back to the video. Number 5. Allen Iverson. Most likely the greatest player to never win a ring, Allen Iverson is also someone with a really sad backstory. With his mom being just 15 years old when he gave birth to him, his father on a life sentence, and his stepfather being a crack dealer, Iverson had one of the roughest childhoods you could ever expect. There wasn't much of a family for him at his house, so Iverson spent a lot of time in friends' houses due to the lack of food or guidance at his home place. At some point he was pretty much living with one of his trainers. Iverson was set in the right path to become the basketball star we all know him as, but there were still things which came in his way. During his college years, some false accusation about him taking part in a brawl in a bowling alley forced Iverson to spend some time in jail. After finishing his sentence, he came back and became the first overall pick in the NBA draft and went on to become one of the most dominant and talented players this game has ever seen. Number 4. Caleb Swanigan. Okay, so this is one of the more unknown names on the list, but it's still pretty relevant. If you don't know Caleb Swanigan, he's a player for the Trail Blazers. Growing up, his father was addicted to crack cocaine and didn't have much of a role in Caleb's life, and he died after weighing around 500 pounds and struggling with diabetes. So Swanigan ended up spending some of his childhood in homeless shelters as his mother struggled to support 6 children. He also reached 360 pounds the summer before 8th grade, probably because of his uncertain living situation leading to an unhealthy diet, and he was nicknamed Biggie by those around him. He was eventually adopted by a sports agent and ended up losing over 100 pounds during high school, and continued to improve in the game of basketball until he was drafted in 2017. Who knows, maybe his name would be a lot more familiar in a couple of years. Number 3. LeBron James. This is another one of those stories that you might have heard before. The 4-time champion had one of the most depressing childhoods you'll probably ever hear about. His mother was only 16 years old when she gave birth to him, and his father was a casual boyfriend with an extensive criminal record who left LeBron and his mom on their own. LeBron bounced between houses, living in as many as 6 locations in a single year, and because of that, he was absent from school more often than not. Sometimes his family even had to sleep in their car. But luckily, all of this changed when LeBron's football coach offered to give him a home. He was also the person who introduced him to basketball, and of course, LeBron didn't let him down and became one of the all-time greats of the game. Number 2. Dennis Rodman. You might not have known about this dude until a couple months back, but with The Last Dance coming out, you probably got a really good idea of who Dennis Rodman is. He was born in New Jersey, and it wasn't the easiest childhood for him and his family. Dennis, his mother, and 2 sisters were abandoned by his father when he was just a young boy. He had to move to Texas, where their mother worked odd jobs to support the family. During his high school, Rodman wasn't exactly a big basketball player. He stood at only 5'9" and was cut from his high school basketball team. After high school, he started working as a janitor in an airport. One night, Rodman broke into a store at the airport stealing watches, and he was caught and arrested. But Rodman was able to get out of any real punishments after returning the watches. This is where the magic starts happening, where over one summer he grew 10 inches. He tried basketball once more by joining a junior college, which he later left. He tried going back to his mother, but she didn't let him back into the family house. So pretty much, he was 21 years old and left homeless with no talent, no work, no nothing. After a year of living in the streets, he tried giving college basketball one more try, and this is where his life started taking off. Fast forward a couple years, and he was playing as a starter for the Detroit Pistons. Honestly, Dennis Rodman has had one heck of a life, and I've been thinking about making a video based on him. So if that's something you would like to see, let me know. Number 1. Jimmy Butler. Before becoming the huge NBA star he is nowadays, Jimmy Butler had one of the most crazy yet exciting life stories. He was born in Texas, and shortly after his birth, Jimmy was abandoned by his father. Despite this, young Jimmy managed to spend on course and focused on sports, mainly on football, because like every other person in Texas, he was a passionate football fan. Butler was also quite a talented basketball player, before finally settling for basketball when he grew several inches. Alright, now this is where the story starts going downhill. His mother kicked him out of his house at the age of 13, making him bounce from one friend's house to another and spending some nights in the gym to try to avoid the streets. Imagine being homeless when you're just 13. As Butler said in an interview, his mother told him, "I don't like the look of you. you gotta go. He stayed without a place to call home until his junior year, but things started changing for the better. Another athlete from his high school challenged him to a three-point shootout and instantly became friends with Jimmy, inviting him to stay at his place as much as he needed to. That loving family ended up taking Jimmy under their wings, and with a place to call home and the support of his second family, he was able to grow as a basketball player and become who he is. Quick question, why don't you subscribe so you don't miss any videos that I release? Thinking about it, you probably should. If you know any other players with a crazy backstory, let me know in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like and I'll know this is something you might want to see a part 2 of. Well, that's pretty much it. I'll see you in the next video.